Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vincent Tastenois, and together with Jérôme, we're thrilled to show you all brand new accounting features in Odoo 17. And to start with, let me tell you that once again, it's a major upgrade for accounting. The team has done a huge job because we managed to add more than 1,000 tasks in Odoo 17. And all of that is, of course, only possible thanks to the brilliant developers team. There are 39, and they're working together with our product owners in order to make Odoo accounting every year better and better over again. But of course, they don't do that alone. They work closely together with our amazing community, which is, well, all of our partners, our customers, but also our employees, and more than ever, the 700 accounting firms we're working with on a daily basis. So let's get started, because we have a lot to show you today. And first of all, let's get started with localizations, because, well, it's great to have an amazing accounting tool, but if you cannot use it, that's a pity. So localizations were a high priority this year, and if we take a look geographically, we worked on a lot of different countries. So in terms of figures, well, that means that we added 9 brand new countries, and a lot of the 1,000 tasks are localization linked. We managed to add more than 400 new existing tasks on existing localizations. So I think you can all imagine that we don't have enough time to discuss all of these during this talk, so I would gladly invite you to follow the talk of Jos. Jos is a developer working a lot on localizations because I believe he gives a dedicated talk about localizations. Okay, so let's continue with document management, because having an integrated document management system is key, in order to have a fluent accounting process. So first of all, as from now on, you can send multiple PDF files directly by mail into your accounting application. And we will make sure to split them for you. Of course, you can still use a document application upfront, but if you activate the feature on the journal, we will make sure to split all the different documents and create as many vendor bills as you have PDF files attached. So talking about our document application, also there are some great improvements for accountants. Because as from now on, you can create miscellaneous entries and bank statements based upon received documents. And in order to make it crystal clear where they will arrive into your accounting, you can now link them directly to your preferred journals. Last but not least, splitting a huge document can be very pity in order to click between all the different pages. So also there are some great improvements because we added a lot of brand new keyboard shortcuts in order to split your document faster than a glimpse of an eye. Jérôme, I think we have enough stuff to start with. I suggest that we jump into a demo.
Yes, indeed. Well, Winan, I will begin first in my email mailbox, in which I have received here a supplier email in which we will find it's the beginning, 2 separated bills. So I can just forward it to an email alias, which is linked to a journal purchases, if I note it well, okay, purchases Odoo. So this email alias is linked to one of my purchase journal. I can send it and then jump back now in Odoo. Before jumping into the accounting application and see the email that I just sent, I will jump at first in my documents application, in which I will find here in my inbox a PDF file, a huge PDF file actually, with 27 pages. I can in one click split it, and we will find here all the pages from my file. I can use some shortcut, as you can see here. With the Ctrl K option, I can have an overview of all my, let's say, the main shortcut that we can have. The main one here will be the select or unselect all with the Ctrl A. We will have also here the shift with the arrow, allowing me to navigate between the different pages. And then, of course, the S to split or unsplit the document. Well, bye-bye, Winand. Let's see in practice. So, as you can see here, all my pages are selected. With the Ctrl A option, I can just unselect everything. And with my arrow, I can just navigate between the different pages, as you can see. Visually here, I can already see that the 3 first pages are the same bill. By maintaining the shift and with the arrow, I can just select the 3 pages, and then with my S, I can remove the split between the pages. So let's move to the next one here, the next bill, I can type on Shift and select the bill as well. And let's take the other one here, and then I can set it to the finance department and close the other document that I will keep for later. So I will gather and come back now in my finance workspace, in which, in my inbox, we will find the different bills that I just sent into this workspace. Let's select the two first bills because I recognize here the vendor bill, and I will be able now to send this bill in specific journal. So as you can see here, we have two separated journal, so for the vendor bill, so one for the direct cost and one for the indirect cost. But I will also find here the possibility to create a miscellaneous entry or a bank statement. But in this case, it's direct cost, so I can just send it into my accounting. As I'm in an integrated software, I'm sent into the accounting, and I can just come back in one click in my inbox here and send the three other bills in the indirect cost journal. So it's an as well. Let's check now in our accounting app.
Yes.
So I will come back in the accounting app, and inside my vendor bills direct cost journal here, I will find the two bills that I just sent from my documents application.
Okay, cool, Jérôme. Well, that was easy, but what happens with the bills that you sent in the very beginning by mail?
Yes, let me show you in the other journals. So in the other journals here, we will find 5 bills to validate. The 3 that I just sent from my Documents app, but also here the one that I just sent from the email, and we can find the split which is well applied. This is thanks to a configuration on my journal. Let's check it here. We will find now in the advanced settings a new field to auto-extract the PDF to create the bills separately.
Cool. Thanks for that, Jérôme. Let's jump back to our slides and let's continue with some new improvements. And these are all about invoicing. Invoicing will become more and more an important topic in the years to come. And that's worldwide, because more and more countries will introduce the obligation in order to exchange invoices with each other. So some great improvements over there. And the first one is all about PEPL. I'm very happy to announce that as from now on, we are an official PEPL access point, which means that all of our customers can benefit from sending invoices, bills, and credit notes directly over the platform and instantly. But the best part in there, like I mentioned this morning as well, is that it's completely free. There is no additional costs linked to it. It's completely part of your Odoo Enterprise license. So of course, not everybody is ready yet to exchange invoices over the platform, so we needed to support all the old channels as well. That's why we removed the option in order to select the format on the journal itself, and we brought it on the customer form, so that you can now adapt it directly on the contact form and make it customer specific. And of course, you can still send all of your invoices in bulk, and thanks to the configuration, we will take into consideration how they should be sent to each single customer. Last but not least, also a highly demanded feature, we now managed to add a specific, VAT split if you create down payment invoices based upon sale orders. Before, when you created a down invoice, you ended up with one line with a single product and a single tax. If you have sale orders with multiple tax lines, we will now take them into consideration into splitting them directly on your invoice. Jérôme, I believe some great improvements. Let's show us how it works.
Yeah, indeed. Let's jump at first in our configuration. Here in the settings, we will find the PEPL section, in which you can see that we have here all the information to link our database here with the PEPL platform.
Okay, cool. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I understood, you can only register once on the PEPL access point,
Yes,
right?
indeed.
So what happens for customers that are using another legacy system before they switch to Odoo?
That's why you have here the field migration key,
Okay.
in order to retrieve actually the access of PEPL in another software to indicate here your key, and then we will have the access through our database in Odoo. Then I just need to validate the access. I'm in a demo, of course, so it's now done.
Cool. But this is a setup for, let's say, the company that will send the invoices, right?
Yeah.
What about the customers that will receive them?
Yeah, remember the electronic invoicing was set before on the journal level. Now it's on the customer level. Let's have a look here, in which we will find in our accounting tab here a section related to the electronic invoicing.
Okay, I see you have a lot of different formats over there. It sounds a little bit complicated.
Yeah,
Can
indeed.
you elaborate and also how is it linked to the Peppol platform?
Yeah. So of course, if you want to keep the old format, let's say the PDF file, you can just let it blank. But here we will find other kind of format. So the BIS Billing 3.0 is the standard layout for Peppol. And as you can see, we have other kind of format for Peppol over here. For example, here for New Zealand and Singapore, because they add some, let's say, specific information
Okay.
linked to these countries. And more, the countries will add, let's say, specific information. We will add, of course, the related format.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that. Way more clear now. I can see you also have a DSO over there. It wasn't there before, right?
Yeah, the day sales outstanding is now there to help our customer to define the right credit limit for their own customers.
Okay, but how is it linked to the credit limit?
It's not really linked, it's just to help the customers to improve, to increase or decrease the credit limit based on the, let's say, the good amount that we have here.
Okay, cool. Well, some interesting of information over there. Let's jump back to the Peppol because,
Yeah.
as you know, I'm a huge fan of our mass edits in Odoo. Please tell me they're applicable for the EDI format as well.
Yeah, of course. So let me jump back in the customer list view, and we will see now that we have several columns that we can add here to have, let's say, a clear view. And then I can see directly on this customer here, I need to activate Peppol because, of course, they need to. Here I can just activate the BIS Billing 3.0 layout. Odoo will ask me to record this format on the other records. I can confirm it. It's done. Now the only thing that I need to do for this one is to activate it. As you can see, we have a column people validity. I can just, through my action over here, verify that they are linked to Peppol. So let's do it here, up, and now everything is tick.
Cool. It's super easy to switch all of your customers on the platform. So now that the setup is done, can you show us a little bit how we can send the invoices to the customers?
Yeah, of course. So let me take my customer invoices and take the one of this month, the last month, so the month of October, and then like we did before, I can select in a bulk all my invoice and through my action button, send and print. But what is different here is that Odoo will mention me here that I have two customers that are not configured for Peppol. But that's fine. I know these customers because for this one, I need just to send an email with the PDF file. So here, I will let it this way and I can send the invoice to the related format of my customers.
Okay, cool. I'm just a little bit confused over here with all of that Peppol platform. You now are sending the invoices to the customer, right? But me as an entrepreneur, I want to make sure that my customer receive the invoices.
Yep.
Is there any way I can see that easily or is
Yeah.
it manual?
As you can see, we have also a column here, the Peppol status, in which we can see that for the two invoices that I sent to Peppol, it's pending reception. But I can speed up a bit the process because it can take minutes or few hours to be sent to the Peppol platform. From my dashboard, I will find here a new button to fetch the Peppol invoice in order to send it directly to the platform.
Okay.
And if I take back again the invoice of October, we will find now that this Peppol status for this invoice are, let's say, done. We find the status over here, but nothing is lost. We have everything in the chatter. So in the chatter, we had the information that this invoice was for processing, and now, of course, it's done.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Jerome. Can we go one step back? Because
Yep.
I had the feeling there was also an invoice for Odoo San Francisco, which means I guess it's an intercompany billing.
Yep.
Is there something specific linked to that?
Yes, indeed. So Odoo San Francisco is one of our company in our multi-company environment. So you can find here the Odoo San Francisco one. So let's jump back into Odoo San Francisco. So let's go in the dashboard and then in my Odoo San Francisco. And as I created an invoice in the Odoo Belgium, in my vendor bills, I will have the opposite side for the customer invoice. And now we can find the image of these bills.
Okay, cool. It's automatically created.
Yeah.
So last but not least, before we go back to the slides, can you show us what I mentioned about the down payment invoices?
Yep. To do that, I will jump back in the sales application, but first in my Belgian company. And in the sales application, I will find here a sale order in which I will have several products, but with several tax rates. And we have, of course, the breakdown of these rates in the over here. And if I create a down payment invoice, let's say 50% over here, I can create my draft invoice. I will find now 4 lines for the down payments and the related taxes and also the breakdown on the invoice.
Super cool. Thanks, Jerome. Let's jump back to our slides and let's talk about our next topic. And this one is all about bank management. Accountants can gain a lot of manual input time by having a smooth invoicing process, but they can gain even more by enabling real-time bank management. When we think about bank management, let's discuss first of all bank synchronization. Before, technically, it was already a game changer, but our users were sometimes a little bit confused about what they needed to do at what moment when the sync was broken. So therefore, some great updates over there. First of all, we can now mention an email directly on the bank journal so that you can invite your customers or the persons that have access to the bank account in order to refresh the connection. Very easy to be used within the company if the bank owner doesn't connect to Odoo itself. We will send you some reminders up front. I believe it's once 1 month in front, then 2 weeks, and then the day itself, so that directly from the mail itself you can refresh the connection for an additional period. And if you're using the PSD2 connection, it's a 6 months, I believe. But also a very great improvement for the accounting firms among us, because you can now invite your customers directly by mail in order to refresh the sync. But that's not all. We will also point it out directly from the interface so that it's very visible on the dashboard itself. So next up, by automating that much with bank synchronizations, sometimes people lose trust that we didn't fetch all of the transactions. So it might happen that from time to time we failed to fetch the transactions, or that the user made a mistake and delete some of them. So a very great improvement over there, because at any moment you can run fetch the transactions, because every single bank transaction has a unique ID. We can catch it, we can fetch it, sorry, at every moment again, so never any data will be lost. Next up, let's talk about scamming protection. Because security has always been part of our highest priorities, and we believe that if we automate that much, well, it's also our commitment to do it as secure as possible. So that's why last year we introduced a first version of our scamming protection, so that you needed to validate all kinds of bank accounts before you can use them in order to make outgoing payments. This year we went 2 steps further. First of all, if we can, we will point it out directly if we believe that there is a risk or there might be a risk involved to the validation of your bank account. You can directly click on the page, everything is explained on our website, and if we can retrieve it, we will point it out. But that's not all. In order to have a real segregation of duties, we now added a brand new access right on the user level so that you can define in your organization who is able to validate the accounts. Okay, next up, let's talk about bank statements. Last year, we completely removed them, and a lot of people were a little bit surprised that we completely removed them. So this year, we brought them back somehow. For the accountants among us that wanted those bank statements in order to have intermediate control points, well, we now directly point them out in the widget, and we give some additional information to be sure that your ending balances are correct. And last but not least, and this is definitely one of my favorite new features in Odoo 17. Well, before it might be complicated, well, not really complicated. It was not possible, I believe, to manage all your payments directly in Odoo. Well, we completely rebuilt the widget because we now base ourselves on the invoice lines, which gives us some great new possibilities. We now cover installments, which each one of them their own due date, and also cash discounts are automatically computed in the new widget. So the only thing you need to do is search for the overdue items, and we create all of your payments out of the box. Jerome, I'm talking too much, I guess. So time for you for a demonstration.
Always. So let's come back in the accounting app. And let me show you that in our dashboard here, directly, I have an information that my synchronization is expired since actually 2 days over here. I can, of course, click on it, but in the configuration, we will find the related email address that you mentioned before. Through, I can send reminders. So 3 times. You already said, but it's good to hear it again. 1 month before the expiration date, 2 weeks before, and then the day itself. But let's keep it here from the dashboard because it's exactly the same process. Here I can just type and hit the button Extend Connection, and Odoo will redirect me in my provider platform. So over here, I'm on Enable Banking. So I will be able here to select my bank account. If the connection is fast, okay, I can select it and authorize the link with Odoo again. And then, of course, I can now check the status and the link will be done again with my bank. Let's refresh it and now we can see that it's connected until beginning of February. But that's not all. In this third bank, I don't have any bank connected. By clicking on the Connect Bank button over here, I have also the access, the possibility here to add the accounts that are already synchronized through another synchronization. So basically, here I have also another synchronization with Saltedge in my second journal. So I can just create also the link with Saltedge over here. I will speed up a bit the process. It's of course a bank for the demonstration over here, and it will sync Saltedge with Odoo here. We will wait for a few seconds, and we will have also the link over here. So as you can see, I can play with different also providers,
Yeah,
Saltedge and enable banking as well.
it's pretty fast.
Yeah, internet, the Wi-Fi
With all
thing.
those thousands of people that are using it, it's still pretty fast.
Okay, it's done. So now I can also refresh, and I have here my free bank that are synchronized all with different providers, but
Good.
synchronized.
Thanks, Jerome. So what about the missing transactions?
Yeah, indeed. And let me take this second bank as an example. So in this bank, I will have the possibility here to add to find the missing transaction. So by clicking on this, Odoo is just asking me until when I want to fetch a transaction. So let's take the one of this month, and here I will retrieve all the transactions that are missing inside my statement. As you can see, I have plenty of them, actually 45. So let's import it, and it will be also reconcilable here in my journal.
Okay. Well, now that we have the transactions, let's talk about bank statements.
Yep. Let me take again this example and let me create on the fly several bank statements. As you can see here, once I put my mouse between two transactions, I have the option to create a statement. So I can create a statement over here, one over here, let's say, and a last one over here. And in this statement, you will find, of course, the starting balance and the ending balance. And what is new, of course, here is that it's here in the, let's say, in the reconciliation tool, so we have a direct view on the intermediate balances.
I see, yeah. So there is one thing I don't understand. It was pretty fast, by the way, to create your statements. But how can it help people to control these intermediate balances?
Yeah. So first, you can control it. You can also print this statement. So this way, you can also control with, let's say, your bank. You will have still some paper if you want. But here, by creating the PDF file, it's quite interesting because you will find this PDF file in each transaction of this statement. So basically, here for the first transaction, in the discuss tab, in the attachment, I will find the PDF file with all the related transactions from my statement. And to control that everything is fine, but here, as you can see, my bank statement is in gray. Let's take a simple example by just deleting one transaction here. Up, we delete it. And now you will see that my statement is in red. And by clicking on the buttons, I will also have a warning message indicating that the running balance is different from my ending balance. The difference is, of course, the transaction that I deleted. Let's use again my missing transaction option, fetch it, and retrieve the transaction that I deleted on purpose here. I can just delete, import it again, and of course here it's not imported in my statement, but if I re-put it in my statement, my statement is in gray again, and everything is valid.
Nice. Thanks, Jerome. So now that our statements are done, what about our payments?
Yeah. So the payments. I will have actually two different ways to do it. Let's first begin with the reporting and the age payable report, in which we will find all the open items for my vendors. By clicking on the total amount over here, I will have the breakdown of all the, let's say, due dates that I have here for my different vendors' items. But that's not all. I can also access from my dashboard to this new notification that I have here, 3 late bills to pay. So in this view, I can access directly all the bills that are overdue with the different installments from these bills. But I can also add, if I want, cash discount in order to be sure to pay the discount amount. So I can just include this here and create the payment, and it's done.
Nice. That was easy. So now that we've seen the payments, maybe last but not least, what about the scamming protection?
Yeah, I have a perfect example to do that.
I guess
I
so.
can show you in the vendors. I have here my partners ING, that for which I have here 3 different partners. So the one in Belgium here, it's important because you will see that with the IBAN account in Belgium, I will have actually no warning message. So it means that everything is fine here, so I can just trust this account and save it. But you will see that it will be a different behavior here for ING Switzerland, based, of course, in Switzerland. Because here, the IBAN account is an IBAN in Belgium, as you can see. And there, Odoo will just put an orange message for medium risk because the IBAN is not from the same country that the vendor. So here, it's just a medium risk, but I will let it and trust it for now. Let's jump in the third use case. Again, United States with an IBAN account. So we will find also this orange message for the country, but we will find also a red message over here for high risk, because Odoo detected that this IBAN account is linked to WISE, which is a money transfer services, and so Odoo is just advising to call your vendor to be sure it's the right IBAN account.
Some great information over there, I believe. Maybe to end up with, you were able to validate these accounts. Can you show us a little bit what that segregation of duty is about?
Yeah, so it's really important to, let's say, for accounting principles and the 4 I's principles, it's really important to have this segregation of duty. That's why we had in the settings of each user, so you can see here in my user, we had a settings bank under the accounting, in which I can, of course, validate the bank account or let it blank. And so I can just personalize based on the user responsibility.
Cool. Thanks, Jérôme. Let's jump back to our next category, and this one will be all about closing and reporting. Well, first of all, we're going to discuss our deferrals. We already computed the deferrals before, but we got the feedback from accountants that it was sometimes complicated to understand why they needed to process them on a balance sheet account instead of their preferred P&L accounts. So that's why we threw it away and we redesigned it from scratch based upon a single start and ending date. So just filling the start and ending date, and we will compute all your deferred expenses and revenues directly for you on a monthly basis. So it can be done on the invoice validation, but if you are a large company, you could also decide to have one globalized entry at the closing rate, in order to don't have as many entries as bills, but one single at the closing rate. And if you're using the deferred revenue with the subscription application, start and end date will be computed automatically. So next up, reporting. It's great to have a great accounting tool. If we cannot export any great information out of there, that's a pity as well. So we refurbished all of our financial reports. You can see directly that we pointed out very well now the different sections and the different subtotals, but we have some other great improvements there as well. First of all, as from now on, you can combine multiple financial reports together in a single bundle and export it in one click. It's going to be very cool, I think, during the closing period to export different financial reports, provide them to different stakeholders instead of doing it one by one. But also for accounting firms, at the end of different periods, they need to provide different reports to their customers. Instead of doing it multiple times, they can now bundle a lot of different reports together and export it in a single click. But you have another cool feature over there. We now make it possible to have all your favorite filters directly applied on all of your financial reports. So you can easily create them in your journal items, save all your favorites, and you can make them available on all the reports. So the possibilities are endless. I'm pretty sure that you'll be able to create a lot of great new filters.
Yeah.
And last but not least, we also added the possibility to manage branch management directly in Odoo. Thanks to the branch management, you will have all the flexibility of the multi-company features, but linked to one single legal entity. So think about invoicing management, having different invoices layout within the same entity, but it's way more than that, of course. You have the flexibility to have access rights across all our different applications, but also reporting-wise, etc. You can obtain that every time, branch per branch. So, Jérôme, back to you.
Yeah, Let's start first with the deferrals. So I
Yes.
will come back in my accounting app and I will create a new vendor bill over here. So here, let's take, let's say, a factice vendor. I will use the date of today. And instead of before, here we need to put the expense account and not the balance sheet anymore. So we can also add here two columns, the start and the end date. And in this column, I can add here, let's say, my expense will run from beginning of October until last day of March, and it will be here 1,000. And by validating the bill here, it will generate automatically the deferred entries for this vendor. And we will find each month the split, the breakdown of my expense. But that's not all. Imagine now that I made a mistake in the booking of my vendor bill. I can just here reset to draft and put, let's say, 10 instead of 1 and confirm it, and Odoo will update automatically all my entry directly.
Okay, super cool.
But that's not all. It was the first way to compute it. But let's take the example in my other company in which I want to do it in a bulk.
Okay.
So in here, I will just access into my reporting. So in Odoo San Francisco, I will access in my deferred expense report, in which I will find here all the accounts in which I have indicated the start date and end date. We'll find that here in the column 2023, it's the related expense for the year, but I will find also the expense to be deferred in the next year. And by clicking on this simple generate entry here, Odoo will compute the entry at the end of the year with all the accounts and will reverse it at the beginning of next year.
Okay. Thanks, Jerome. I suggest we jump back in our Belgium company
Yeah.
and let's discuss a little bit our new reporting.
Yeah, indeed. So let's jump back into the balance sheet in which we can directly see that the layout has been updated. We can see here that we have highlight section, but also bold section. And this way, the report is more visible than we had before. We can still jump from one report to another. And as you can see, also in my profit and loss, we have also this, let's say, refurbished report.
Nice. I can see you have also the filters available over there. Can
Yeah.
you elaborate a little bit on that one?
Let me jump back in the balance sheet and show you that here, my filters without intercompany transaction is ticked. But if I untick it, of course, here, as you can see, my report is updated based on the, let's say, filter that I use. So I can really play with the filters as I want.
Seems nice, but where do they come from?
Let me show you. So you will find here in the journal items, in the favorites, these filters. So I can just create filters over here and it will be applied in my report. So let me take a simple example. I will create here a report for all the accounts beginning with 7. Up. So let's put it here. And then I can save it as favorite, journal item 7. Let's be original. Save it and jump in the profit and loss. And here you will see that, of course, in my profit and loss, I will have the 7 account, which is actually the turnover in Belgium, the account for the turnover in Belgium. But we have also 6 accounts for the expense in Belgium. If I filter here on my journal item 7, all the lines related to the 6 accounts are disappeared.
Cool. Thanks, Jerome. So what about combining multiple reports together?
Yeah. To do that, I just here create a new menu items in which we will find the report that I combine. We will find in the same view the balance sheet here and the profit and loss. So I can jump from one to another in a single click. And it's even better, I can just export it in a single click. So if I use here my PDF export option, it will generate, let me leave my full screen, up my closing binder over here, in which I will find my PDF file, of course aggregated with my balance sheet and my profit and loss as well in a single file.
Cool. Thanks. So last but not least, what about branch management?
Yeah. So as you can see in my structure, I have 2 main companies, the Odoo Belgium one and the Odoo San Francisco in this case. Under Odoo Belgium, I will find different here branch. And I don't know if you are aware about it, but this summer we open a new farm, the farm 3. So let's create it. So let's jump back into the settings, into the multi-company settings as usual. We will find our 2 main companies, but as you can see directly from here, all the branch for the Odoo Belgium one. We will find also the branch here, the branch tab, in which I can add the farm 3. Okay, let me save it manually to put it in order because I know you are a perfectionist. Up, up, let's save it. And now we'll have here the list with my new branch, farm
Cool.
free, which is opened.
Was indeed very easy to create, but how does it differ itself from the existing multi-company feature?
Yeah, so basically here all my branch are, let's say, sharing the same accounting, so the chart of account, the taxes, etc. But what is really interesting with this branch is to have separated branch invoicing layout. So let's take, for example, the customer invoice journal over here, and I can group by company, in which I will find all the invoice that I emit from Farm 1 and Farm 2, and of course Odoo Belgium as well. So in Farm 1 here, I will find this kind of layout, but if I have a look now in Farm 2, I will have another layout and even with a different logo.
Sweet. Thanks, Jerome. Let's jump back to our slides
Yeah,
and discuss our last category already. And that one will be all about reconciliation. Also, there, I believe accountants can lose a lot of manual input work during the closing process or whenever in order to reconcile all the different items together. So, also some great improvements over there. Basically, we completely removed the old widget and we replaced it by a new simple screen. And that gave us some additional possibilities. First of all, you can now reconcile between two different accounts, and Odoo will automatically compute the corresponding entries out of the box for you, not necessary to create manually anymore. But that's not all. We added a great new auto reconcile feature in order to make it possible to reconcile all of your items at once on a single account. And you can do it based upon the corresponding amounts or for a zero balanced account. Jérôme, I suggest that you show us how it works.
yeah. So let's jump in our here menu accounting, in which we will find the reconcile button. Before, we had the old widget, but as you can see, it's totally a new view, and from this view, I can reconcile my items. So let's take the one for the interco that I selected over here. So as you can see, I will have here a receivable items and a payable items. I can select the two items in the same in one shot and reconcile it. And here, as I can see that the amount is not the same, I can partially reconcile it. And then it's already done, and I have also the reconciliation button in color. And if I want to refresh, you miss something, Winan, but it's not a problem. I can
I was
just move
going to say
forward
it.
and refresh it here. And let's come back over here. And as you can see, in this view, we have at the account level, but also at the partner level, in which I can auto-reconcile the transaction. Let's say the example of this partner. So here I can just type on auto-reconcile, and Odoo will pre-filled all the field over here with, of course, the accounts, the partners, but also with the date of the oldest transaction on this partner. And I can launch here my reconciliation, and I will find here the different reconciliation done for these partners, and we can see in colors, it's really a nice view. But if we don't want to do it case by case, we can just type here this button, auto reconcile. Here, as you can see, nothing is pre-filled, but it's good. Let's keep it that way and launch it. And here Odoo will just reconcile all the other entries that needs to be reconciled inside my accounting.
Cool. Really super powerful, Jerome.
I agree.
So let's jump back to the slides because actually we're not completely done yet. Like every great presentation, and this year is not different, of course, we have a last one more thing. So it's all about analytic reporting. Last year, we completely redefined the way we manage analytic accounting in Odoo, and it's great. It works. It works very well. People love it. We have different analytic dimensions with all their own accounts. You can make them mandatory, optional, or unavailable. So we kept all of that part, but we added one more thing in there, and it's all about crossing all of your dimensions together in order to create really powerful reporting. So no need to tell more about that, Jerome. I suppose that you just show us how it works.
Yeah, of course. And to do that, I will jump back in a customer invoice here. So I will create a new one from scratch. Let's take the one over here, the date of today as well. I will put a product to have something cleaner. I will also remove the column for the deferred and jump directly into my analytic distribution. As you can see here, the widget has been updated. We will find here by column all the plan that I need to mention. I have also here a percentage in red mentioning that these plans are mandatory. So I need to have a 100% amount over here. So let's jump here in my America region because I know that this product is for America. It's for the platform SaaS. And with my tabulation, I can just go from one plan to another in order to book everything. The product here will be the apps up, and it's linked to my services department. It's for 30%, and let's jump into the next one, still America. Oh, made a mistake, up, America, still SaaS, as of course. And there we have some consultancy service pack, which is linked to our service department. But now I can also type it manually over here. So here up, I can just type it manually, and Odoo will compute the percentage automatically. I can just put the last line, which is linked to here my IAP and my support. So as you can see, the booking is quite fast, and I can confirm this invoice. But of course, what is really interesting here is the reporting. So let's jump into the reporting section in which we have here the analytic reporting. We will have here a pivot table in which I can play with my, let's say, with my amount over here. Let's say that I want to have a report by region and by platform. And then I want to have this view by department and to see which department has sell which product. And then I can, of course, extend my report. And I will have a really detailed analytic view on each items in my accounting.
Amazing. It's really powerful. So let's jump back to the slides because that's a wrap for us. Thank you very much for being with us today. We all hope that you love the new features in Odoo Accounting. We wish you all a great experience. And if there's any more questions, you're now available to answer them in the pad. Just scan the QR code. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. E ciao tutti.
Yeah, never mind. We can answer. Do you want to tell them and then we can answer like that? Yeah.
Of course. Okay, so the first question is, can you have, in an efficient way, the bank statement in PDF and have the balance after each transaction?
Yeah, okay, I suggest that you show the balance after each transaction that we can change the list view. So indeed,
Yeah.
I don't know who asked the question, but indeed, we can print the statement. I believe he showed it. If it's not clear, we will show it again. But that's on a statement level. Of course, we can have the balance at every single transactions, and we have the power, actually the possibility to group by based upon day, weeks, month, in order to group them. So that's indeed to print the statement. Maybe you can also go into the list view
Yeah.
and show how we can group, because
So
we
here we will
compute the
find
balance out of the
here
way.
all the transactions, but I don't know. Yeah, if I have here several dates, so I can of course group by here the date and choose. Oh, I want
Month,
to.
week, you
Yeah,
can
I can.
both- you can
Let's say
compute
month,
both.
week, day, and I can play June, week, day. So we have really the flexibility to
Yeah.
play with it.
And the running balance is computed out of the box over there. So basically, you have way more flexibility than only the statement, because you can basically compute it based upon days, months, weeks, whatever you want. Yes.
Okay, let's go on. So congrats on PayPal Access Point.
Yeah, thank you. I love it as well.
So, however, we've sent a large number of standard PEPL XML invoices from Odoo through a PEPL format validator, and it fails very often.
And it fails very often.
Yeah,
That's
it
good
does.
news.
For example, if there is a zero line or a negative price in the invoice, how will the error handling be for the Odoo access point?
I'm not an expert, so I believe that the easiest way is to create a ticket at our support. Of course, it's a new feature, so there might indeed be some corner cases. But I believe that we have brilliant product owners and developers that are aware of the checks. So I believe that they will handle it. But please feel free just to provide us with the information so that they can adapt the format. Again, I'm not an expert, but I believe that we have one general, let's say, format for PEPL, which we cover, and then for company we have different countries we have some specific formats. So we're handling them more and more for different companies. So it depends maybe a little bit in what country you're working, but of course, well, the general format should be alright. So if it's not, please create a support ticket and we will fix it.
Okay, so the other question is, can you consolidate a multi-company environment into the closing binder?
It's a good question. We never tested it for this talk, but
For me, it's the same than
I don't think so.
the standard report, so
Yeah,
it
yeah,
can
but
be aggregated.
yeah, well, we should test it.
It depends actually if
You
you
can
have,
test it.
if you have, for example, in our use case, I don't know if it will work because we have a company in Belgium and and a company in United States, so we can't define we can combine the two.
You can, but it's just a summary.
Yeah.
We sum it up. So indeed, what Jerome is telling is right. If you have different currencies involved, it will not work because we just basically add dollars and euros together, which is not giving a great result. Therefore, you need the consolidation application. But if you select the multi-company, it will globalize together, and it might work. We can
We
try.
can try, yeah. Live testing. So let's jump in the balance sheet, and I will take.
It's not working.
No, let's take the balance sheet again. No,
I
okay.
think
it
you need to
doesn't work.
refresh. Can you refresh the page?
Yeah.
Control F.
So I'm here in my Belgian company. Okay.
Yeah,
it's
select
fine.
Odoo San Francisco maybe.
Yeah. Okay. I'm into it. I will select the remove also the filters because it's company specific. Put the balance sheet, which is here. Let's say
The generic
a
one.
generic one, and use everything. Maybe also the farm free, but I'm nothing into it. Here, the Odoo San Francisco one.
Yeah. And now if you export.
Up, and now I can just go in the closing binder, and I think, yeah, but in this case, I create my closing binder with the report from Belgium. So I don't think
Okay.
it's
So it
working.
means that in principle it works, but of
Right.
course if you have accounts in there which are not appearing in the Belgium one or in the country specific one, it will not work. So for the rest, the answer would be yes.
Okay, next question then. So you talked about cash discount. Is the cash discount also considered in the invent evaluation?
In the
Inventory.
inventory valuation, I'm not sure how it's related, to be honest. To update the bill, no, I don't think so. Pretty sure that it's not. But it's not linked to the cash discount, I believe. I'm not an expert again in inventory valuation either, but I think that it's covered maybe now in Odoo 17 because we have a price different account. So it's not linked to the cash discount. But if it works by validating your bill, it updates the inventory valuation. It has nothing to do with the cash discount. So if it works with your bill, it will work for the cash discount. So basically, I'm not sure if the answer is yes or no. But if it works with your bills, it will work for the cash discount as well. Because we basically update the transaction based upon the difference between the bill and the purchase order, which is not linked to the cash discount.
Okay, so another question. Can you add a comparison column with the budget in the refurbished profit and loss? If yes,
No.
how?
No, and I know a colleague that would like to do it very much, but I think it's not a good idea, for the simple reason that if we do it on the P&L report, it means that you have to create a budget for every single P&L account, which I believe not a lot of people will do. So I don't think that we want to add that in the financial reports because it's quite complicated to manage. How I would suggest you to work is to create a spreadsheet out of there and manage your budget in the spreadsheet. It gives way more flexibility than having it in the financial report. I think technically and even functionally, I think adding the budget in the P&L report is not possible because that means that you should put a budget on all accounts, and I don't think it's that user-friendly.
Okay, thanks. Then, does having a specific technical model for the matching numbers of reconciliation give now the possibility to import historical data with the reconciliation data as well?
I don't think that the feature in 17 changed anything about that. So I think the answer is no, for the simple reason that if we have to import historical data, well, first of all, I would suggest you to not do it. But anyway, it happens from time to time, of course. For the matching, it's not possible because if you have different lines in your Excel file, how will you define that one payment is linked to three different invoices? It's quite complicated if you have partial reconciliations, etc. So in my opinion, the answer would be no.
Okay. Then are multi-reconciliation and partial defined, all of them as partial? Sorry, this question is
Where is it?
this one.
Defined all of the. No, I don't think so. It's only the one that remains over that remains as a partial. The other ones just receive the matching number now. I think that changed indeed from 16 to 17.
Okay. So for the transaction that have the same partner and amount, how can Odoo recognize which one should be the good one to select for auto reconciliation?
Good question. I don't think we tested it, to be honest. But I believe we take the oldest ones. That's how it works. From a logical point of view, I would imagine that we take into consideration the dates in order to take always the oldest ones to reconcile. But we should test. I didn't test it upfront.
Okay. So can purchases XML invoices be automatically booked in the profit and loss without extra manual action?
Good question. Well, the short answer is no, not yet actually. But we were already thinking about doing it, but we should find a logical way of doing it, and then that means that what's the accuracy percentage? Because not every bill will always be processed on the same accounts, etc. You want to control some of them, some not. So it's a good question, but the answer is not that easy. So we already thought in the past of, let's say, generating a sort of percentage if it's always the same account and you didn't change it 3 times in a row, let's just post it without any intervention. But we don't have something concrete yet. So the short answer is no. The long answer would be that we should play a little bit with it in order to find the right combination. But it's a good feedback.
Okay. Is it possible to correct analytic accounting entry after, for example, an invoice is paid and booked?
Yes, but the answer is simple. It's not linked to accounting entries. Accounting entries can create analytic items, but it's not linked. So basically, it's management reporting. You do whatever you want with it.
Little
maybe you can
spoiler,
show?
it will be done in the next talk, next presentation.
Yeah. If you remain in the room, we will have another talk right after, and you will see it in live. But the answer is yes.
Okay. Can you extract the open days for all customers? Is there some reporting on it?
The days sales outstanding? No, I don't think there is. No, I don't think so.
Okay. What happens to deferred entries already running when the database is upgraded? I'm referring to the change of policy and the fact these items will be reported on the profit and loss and not balance sheet in V17.
Boom. no, I don't know.
Actually, I had a question to a product owner yesterday,
Yeah? Okay.
and he mentioned that all the entries are already generated, but are in draft in the future. So as all the entries are already there, there is no problem at all. There is only one thing that will change.
Okay.
It's, of course,
The new one.
different model, and the new one that will be generated will be we will need to adapt the new process to do it. So through the expense account and not on the balance sheet account again.
That would be the right answer. I think maybe just the report will not be accurate because it's not in there, I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
But indeed, you're right. The items are already created, so they will be auto-posted. It's just the new ones that will be generated next. But again, we should see after the upgrade, I guess.
Okay, the last couple of questions, I guess.
Yeah. I can see the time.
Will it be possible in V17 to send payment files directly to the bank?
Yeah, it's already available since a while. Well, it of course, it depends in what country you're working in. But in Europe, we have the SEPA file, which is covering all Europe, I guess. But let's say in the Americas, we now added, I think, the NACHA file. I'm not an expert over there, but I think we have it for Americas, the NACHA file, which is exactly the same as the SEPA, but then for the Americas. So if you're not being able to use one of those, then the answer would be no. We only cover SEPA and NACHA.
Okay. On what is based the risk for bank accounts?
On multiple, let's say, KPIs. The easiest one is the ones that we showed. It's about the combination of the account and the country that we can check, or if it's some, let's say, some online banks. But you can easily click on the check now. It will open the page, and we explain everything in the documentation, so you can read it over there. I haven't read it all myself, actually.
Okay, if you go really fast, I have the last one.
Yeah.
When you fetch missing bank transactions, does it recognize both PSD2 and coded transactions?
No.
Or
It's
Will
one or
it
the
only
other.
recognize PS2 transactions and therefore generate duplicated
Yeah,
transactions?
it's two different technologies actually.
Okay.
So the PSD2 is indeed the synchronization. Codas are a format that we import. But I guess it's a question coming from Belgium. We have some updates about Coda, but again, sorry, it's Belgium linked. We have a connection now with CodaBox, which is live in Odoo 17, so that you can easily synchronize your Coda files as well. But the answer on the question is no, because it's two different technologies. Or you sync your bank, or you import the Codas. I think we were done.
Okay. We are
Thank
done.
you very much.
Thank you very much.